Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. Today's a special day. We are starting our Makers Challenge video. Theo Kellison has invited us to take part in the Makers Challenge, and it's such an awesome opportunity. I really thank him for it. We're going to be making something that's going to be out of our comfort zone. We're going to make an inlay ring. It's going to be made of tungsten, and we're going to inlay Montana stones in the inlay channel. And I'll show you how I'm going to do that in a minute. We're going to be making a ring for Theo. Theo, he does a lot of great things for the community. He's a great lapidary artist. He creates things that I couldn't even dream of making out of rocks. It's amazing. Theo just hit 7,000 subscribers on his channel, which is an amazing accomplishment. Theo gifts out projects to other YouTubers when they hit milestones. So I want to make this ring for Theo for not only inviting us to this challenge, but also for hitting 7,000 subscribers, which is unreal. So our ring, I'm calling it the Montana Special. So I'm going to be using materials from Montana, the Yellowstone River specifically, that I've received from other YouTubers over the past few months, and we're going to be infusing those into the ring. The idea with the ring is to make a mosaic of the Yellowstone River in the ring. I've had this idea of doing these types of things for a while for ring inlays. I'm really nervous. This is out of my comfort zone. I'm optimistic yet scared. So anyway, let's get into this. I'll show you the materials we're working with here, specifically the ring. The boys are also going to help cut some materials, the stones and things like that. So let's get started. So here's the ring that we're going to be using for Theo's inlay ring. It's a tungsten ring. The reason why I chose tungsten is because it's one of the harder metals. It's probably on par on the Mohs scale with silica. And we're going to be doing some inlaying of silica in the inlay channel here. So I'm going to be grinding this at the end and bringing everything down to the level of the inlay. So it's going to require me using diamond bits or diamond polishing. So I wanted a metal that's going to withstand that, and tungsten will. So that's one of the reasons why we chose it. I'm actually very excited about this ring. I've had the idea of making rings for a while. The novelty of making a ring out of materials that are local to you or that are local to someone that would mean something to them really appeals to me, and I've been wanting to try this for a while, and this Makers Challenge now gives me the perfect opportunity to try it. I'm not sure what's going to happen. It's my first time doing it, so I'm optimistic for the results. I have a pretty good idea what I want to do. I just really hope it translates into the beauty of the ring. I bought a second ring just in case I screw the first one up, so I have a backup. Anyway, it's always better to be prepared. Also, Theo told me his ring size is a 9.25, so this is a size 9 ring. I couldn't find a ring that's 9.25, so I'm going to have to find a way to resize this to 9.25. Before we get into the details of how we're going to inlay the ring, let's prep the materials and look at the materials we'll be using. Okay, so here's the materials we're going to be using for the inlay. So these are all Montana rocks. Most of these rocks I got from Agate Angler, with the exception of this nice waterline Montana agate. I got that from Montana Rock Mom. So we're going to try to incorporate most of these rocks. So basically what we got here, we got some aventurine. We have some green and yellow jasper. Some petrified wood pieces. There's only little portions of this rock I'm going to use in the inlay, so it's important to try to get detailed pieces, and you'll see what I mean when we do this. Here's a piece of red and yellow jasper we're going to try to incorporate, and a nice piece of petrified wood here. So, typical Montana Yellowstone River rocks. Basically what we're going to do is we're going to cut some slivers off of each one. I really want to get some of the dendritic features that are in the Montana moss agates, and some of that waterline might be good. We're going to take a little sliver off each piece and see if we can get some working material. I would like these pieces to have a little bit of a rounded shine to them. So what we'll do is we'll cut these rocks, throw them into the tumbler for a week, and then see what they look like. And then from there we'll start seeing which pieces we'll use for the actual inlay. The boys are going to cut these rocks, so let's get to cutting. Okay, so the boys are finished all those cuts, and I think we got some good material to use here. Some of the aventurine, some jasperized petrified wood that's yellow, so that stuff's cool. We have some darker petrified wood. We have some lighter petrified wood with some grain details, with some fragments. So the fragments are what we're looking for. We'll throw these in the tumbler. Red and yellow jasper. These are jasper agates here. Some more jasper, red and yellow jasper, and some petrified wood. This is some green jasper that we'll use and try to incorporate into the ring. So the agate, the Montana agate, turned out really awesome. This isn't a cutting rocks video, but even though we are cutting rocks to prep our material, I mean, that looks awesome. This really awesome waterline agate. Got a lot of this mossy dendritic features. So I think we're going to be able to get some really good material for the ring out of this. So we're going to throw it into the 10-pound rotary barrel, put it in stage 1 for a week, and then we'll probably put it in the lotto just to shine it up, and we'll continue in a week. Stay tuned. Okay, so these Montana rocks have spent a week in the rotary tumbler. They're out now. These are the fragments that broke off of the larger pieces, and this is exactly what we wanted. We wanted to get these smaller pieces off. They've now been shaped. So I'm actually going to take a couple of these pieces and break them up with a hammer, even a little smaller, and then we're going to throw them into the lotto tumbler for a week. And that's going to be the final product before we start inlaying. So as you can see, we got a really nice assortment here. Here's a piece of the Montana agate, some yellow and red jasper, some aventurine. There's the jasperized petrified wood. We got some regular petrified wood here. So we got a really good assortment of pieces that are going to go well into our inlay. So let's stick these in the lotto tumbler and we'll look at them in a week. Okay, so all the materials are now prepped. I've taken everything out of the tumblers. I've gotten exactly what I've wanted. I've gotten all the rocks now down to a size that I can work with the ring inlay. During the tumbling process, they broke off smaller pieces and they rounded out, got a little bit of shine to them. So some of the pieces are perfect. I'm gonna have to break them down a little bit more with a hammer. I'm gonna do that in a second, but first I'm gonna explain the concept of this ring. So my goal here is to create an inlay that resembles Yellowstone River. I want to make it look like in the daytime it's in the summer, like silted up rocks in the Yellowstone. Theo's videos when he's rockhounding the Yellowstone, you see that in the summertime it's dried up and it's all silted up. It's on a dry day, it's hard to see the rocks. So I'm kind of going for that look, and then I'm going to be placing bigger pieces of detailed stones in the inlay on top of the riverbed. So that's what it's going to look like in the daytime. I'm going to be using this strontium illuminate powder to form the riverbed. Now what this does is it has an off-white color, so it's going to simulate that kind of grayish silty look a bit, and in the nighttime it's going to glow blue. So at night it's going to look like it's an actual river, not dry, so it's going to look like it's flowing. This actually glows when you hit it with UV light. It'll glow blue. If I can get it to activate here. So you can see a little bit of it. It'll show up better at nighttime. I'm going to get some before and after pics of this ring, so don't worry about that. You'll see the effect. The first thing is I have to make this riverbed. I'm going to crush up some stones. I'm going to mix it in with that strontium illuminate. I also have some diamond dust. Now this is not something you would typically find in the Yellowstone River, but I'm going to use this as a little bit of additive to make a sparkling effect to the riverbed. Theo mentioned that in the sunlight, the agates will shine and sparkle, and that's how he finds them. So I want to kind of emulate that maybe a little bit. So I'm going to add a little bit of this. So hopefully I can get a little bit of sparkle in there on the riverbed. Also, it's kind of cool to have real diamonds in your ring. So it just adds that little bit of sentimental value, I guess. That's the concept. I'm going to go ahead and start finalizing these materials. There's a couple pieces I just want to break up a little smaller. I also want to make a little bit of powder to mix in, a little bit of rock dust to mix in with the strontium illuminate to make it look a little bit more grayish, and also give it a little more rough look. I don't want it just to look like powder. I want it to have a little bit of a rough, like little, like there's little tiny cobbles in there. I'm hoping this works out. I got 2 cracks at it. I got 2 rings. The first one I'm gonna, experiment a little bit with and then fine tune, and then the next one hopefully will be the showstopper. So So I'm going to crush some material now for the inlay, for the riverbed, and I'm going to show you how I do that. So all I'm looking to do here is to take the materials that I have and crush them down to a size where it looks consistent with a gravel. So I'm going to be mixing this in with the Strontium Illuminate Glow Powder to create our riverbed material. I'm also going to mix in some of the diamond dust to get that sparkling effect. And then I'm just going to repeat this process with the other materials until I get enough material where I know it's going to cover at least 2 rings. And then I'll probably have some left over, but that's okay. I'm mixing everything in the empty vial. I'm just making sure that the balance is right. I don't want too much material in there where it makes the Strontium Illuminate not glow as pronounced. So I'm just checking that. And this looks pretty good here. So I'm happy with this consistency. So now we're moving over to the lathe and we're ready to apply the riverbed to the inlay channel. I'm going to be using this super thin CA adhesive to cover the surface area of the inlay. And I'm going to be sprinkling the material we just mixed onto this inlay to create the riverbed. I'm being very careful here to make sure I cover it all and put it on evenly. I don't want to put it on in clumps. I want a more of a natural look. Once I'm happy that I have that consistent, I add another layer of the super thin CA adhesive just to bind it all together. Next, I'm going to hit it with some accelerator. This just instantly hardens the CA adhesive so that I don't have to wait for it to cure. I'm happy with how this turned out. So now we're going to go on to inlaying the bigger stones into the channel. To do this, I'm going to use my medium CA adhesive, which is a little bit thicker, and I'm going to individually place these stones where I want them in the channel. The idea here is to go for a natural look. I don't want to have it too symmetrical. I want to place pieces randomly throughout the channel. Also, after I place the stones, I'm putting a little bit of CA around the stone to hold it in place. And after I'm done placing all the stones, I'm going to hit it with some accelerator again to get that CA adhesive nice and hard so I don't have to wait for it to cure. Next, I'm just going to go back throughout the channel and add a little more of my mixture of materials and Strontium Illuminate Glow Powder just around the edges and in between the stones, just to give it that little bit of an extra glow and to fill in any low spots. I was being very careful not to get any of this powder above the inlay channel because of the diamond dust. That would have made things very difficult later to grind off. Now I'm just adding some more super thin CA adhesive just to the areas in between the stones and where I just place more of the powder just to bond it all together. And a little more accelerator just to get that bond hardened more quickly. Here I'm just activating the Strontium Illuminate powder with my UV light just to see what it looks like. Make sure I have a good glow. Here I'm adding some super thick CA adhesive. This just brings everything above the inlay channel. This also cures very clear, and it allows you to see down into the ring. I didn't bring everything up to the level of the inlay channel, so filling the rest with this super thick adhesive will give it a little bit of depth. And after I'm happy that I've brought everything up to the top of the inlay, I hit it with some more accelerator to get that instant hardness. So now I need to grind down the ring to be flush with the inlay. So I'm using my high-tech diamond flat lap, and I'm just using a 180 grit disc here, and I'm just flattening everything down to the level of the inlay. So I want everything flush with the inlay. Because of the high silica content in my inlay channel, the high-tech diamond flat lap was perfect, and the electroplated diamond disc did an excellent job on this. Now that I have the inlay channel nice and flush to the sides of the inlay, I'm going to take it back over to the high-tech diamond flat lap and use my polishing disc to start the polish. I'm going to start with my 325 grit disc and move up to my 600 disc, then my 1200 disc, 3000, and then the final polish with the cerium oxide 14,000 grit. So before I show you the end result, I made a second ring, and instead of grinding this ring all the way flush with the inlay, I decided to make a domed resin surface so that you could see all the way down into the ring. This will give the look of the rocks actually lying on the riverbed, and it just looks a little more realistic. When I'm applying this resin, it applies uneven, so I'm going to need to use a knife to try to even out the resin as much as possible. Some of these stones were a little higher than others in the inlay, so it made it challenging to try to even it out. I did the best I could. This is my first time trying, so in the future I'm pretty sure I could do much better. I think the key is keeping the rocks lower in the inlay. This would make the resin go on much more evenly. But I still liked how this ring turned out. Here I'm hitting the resin with UV light. This will make it harden much more quickly. Here's how that second ring turned out. I really like the way the rocks look so natural on the riverbed inlay. You can even see some of that diamond dust when the light hits it just right, and it gives off this cool little sparkle. Here's the first ring finished in the daylight. And here's the same ring charged in the daylight. And here it is charged at night. Here is the second ring with the domed profile in the daylight. Here is the second ring charged in the daylight. And here it is charged at night. Well everyone, that's our Makers Challenge video. I'd like to thank Theo Kellison for inviting us to take part in this, and congrats to Theo on reaching 7,000 subscribers. We'll be sending these rings off to you as a gift. We're going to be making more ring videos in the future. I've got some great ideas for some designs that incorporate some of the materials we use every day, plus materials that people send us. As always, please like, comment, and subscribe if you like this video, and let us know which ring you like the best that we made today. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll catch you on the next one.